Hello students, once again welcome to my channel. In this video I will share the chapter production, and in this video I will share what is production, short run versus long run, short run and long run production function, the concepts of total product, average product and marginal product. So before we go into the depth of this chapter, let me quickly recapitulate. So what do you think when a producer is producing any good? How is he producing? Is he doing all himself? No. He's using the various factors of production to produce output. Now, what are factors of production? The factors of production are those which help in producing output. The different factors of production, as we know, are land, labor, capital, and organization. Now, the producer uses various inputs to produce output because he cannot produce everything by himself, so he has to use various factors of production or inputs to produce the output. So production process involves the use of various inputs or factor services to produce output. For example, if you take the production of shoes requires shoe workers, laborer, glue, shoemaking machines, etc. So output will be a function of, that is, shoes will be a function of, production of shoes will be a function of land, labor, capital, etc. Because without factors of production, the producer cannot produce output. For production, producer requires land to open his factory. So output is a function of land. Laborer to do the labor work, and capital, that is investment to buy raw materials, give wages to laborers, etc. Now, before coming to production function, the concept, we have taken the example of shoemaking factory. So production function for a shoemaking factory will indicate that a certain quantity of shoes can be produced per day with given quantity of leather, glue, workers, machinery, etc. So I repeat, production function for a shoemaking factory is certain quantity of shoes or maximum quantity of shoes that can be produced with given quantity of leather, glue, workers, machinery, etc. Suppose in a shoemaking factory, as we have assumed, 500 pairs can be produced in a day. So 500 pairs is the maximum quantity of shoes which can be produced, and it is produced in a day, not in a week or in a year. So the time factor is very important when you are writing the definition of production function. So what is the definition? It shows the maximum quantity of a commodity that can be produced per unit of time with given amount of inputs when the best production technique is available. Because as a producer, he will always try to use the best production technique so that his cost is minimized. So the maximum quantity of a commodity which is produced per unit of time, this time factor is also very important when you are writing the definition, with given amount of inputs when the best production technique is available. So the functional relationship between inputs and outputs is referred to as production function. That is, output is a function of input. For simplicity here, we have considered only two inputs, labor and capital. L stands for labor and K stands for capital. Now we come to the concept of short run and long run. Short run refers to the period of time over which the amount of some inputs called the fixed factors cannot be changed. Because there are some fixed factors which cannot be changed in the short run. Amount of plant and equipment is fixed in the short run. What is amount of plant and equipment? That is the producer, he cannot build new factories, he cannot set new machines because the time period is very small or short. Because building new factories, building new land, setting up new machines, it takes time. So in short run, these factors are fixed. And increase in output can be done only by increasing labor and by increasing use of raw materials. Now we come to the concept of long run. It is defined as a time period during which all factors of production can be varied. A firm can install a new plant, or it can rent a factory building, or it can increase the more laborers. It can do everything. That is, all factors of production can be varied. All factors of production can be increased. All factors are variable in the long run. But for different industries, short run and long run varies. I will give you an example. For example, in steel industry, It takes 3 years to install a small steel plant. So less than 3 years is shortened for steel industry. So 3 years is shortened for a steel industry. But for a small firm producing consumer, the producer can install a new machine in few months because the firm is very small and it's a consumer goods industry. So it can build a new machine it can install a new machine in few months. So here short run and long run can also vary for different industries. Now we come to the types of production function. First is short run production function and the second is long run production function. Short run production function, it refers to a situation when only one input is variable and all other inputs are assumed to be constant. Here only one input is variable. Usually we assume labor to be variable and all other inputs are assumed to be constant. So here we see the effect of change in the quantity of one input on the total output by keeping all other inputs constant. That is, here only one input change is seen on the output because all other inputs are constant. Suppose if more workers are applied on the given factors to produce more, the relationship between variable input and output is called short-run production function. So the behavior of output when only one input is changed and other inputs are fixed is termed as returns to a factor. Now we come to long-run production function. It refers to a situation when all inputs are variable. The changes in output when all inputs used in production of a commodity are changed simultaneously and in the same proportion is known as returns to scale. So long-run production function, all the inputs are variable and the change in output when all the inputs used are variable, that is known as returns to scale. Now we come to the basic concepts. TP, that is total product, average product, AP, and marginal product, MP. Now we know that the producer uses two factors of production to produce output. Here we have assumed labor and capital. Labor is a variable factor and capital is a fixed factor. Now, the producer uses these variable and fixed factors to produce certain amount of output, which is known as total product. So total product refers to the total amount of a commodity produced during some period of time by combining a particular quantity of variable factor with a fixed factor. So here the producer combines the variable factor and the fixed factor to produce output, which is known as total product or TP. So total product is always expressed with reference to time. That is, the producer produces in a day or weekly or monthly. That is very important. Average product refers to the output per unit of variable factor. So when we divide total product by labor, we get average product. Total product is also known as output, that is Q. It is also denoted by Q. So Q by L gives us APL because L is the labor. Here we have assumed only labor is the variable factor. So we have written here APL. Now we come to marginal product. It is defined as the change in total product resulting from one additional unit of a variable factor. So when there is a change in 1 unit of labor, how much does the total product change or increase? That is known as marginal product. So how do we find MPL? We find a del TP. We find a change in TP by increasing 1 unit of labor divided by del L. You can write del TP also as del Q by del L. So MPL is del TP by del L or del Q by del L. Now here is a table which shows the number of workers in the first column. The first, there is no worker, 0, then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It is gradually increasing. In the second column, we have TP, total product. Third, AP, average product. And the fourth, we have marginal product. So for 0 unit of workers, the total product, average product, and marginal product all are 0. because no labor and no product, right? Now when there is one worker, the total product is 100. And how do we find average product? Average product is TP by L. So 100 by 1 gives us 100. And the marginal product will remain the same because there is no change in output. So it is 100 itself. Now when we increase the laborers 1 to 2, the TP increases to 220. And average product, how do we find? 220 by 2 because AP is TP by L. So 220 by 2 gives us 110. And here, how do we find the marginal product? TP, del TP by del L, right? So del TP is how much? 220 minus 100 is 120, right? So 120 by del L, what is del L? 2 minus 1. So 120 by 1 is 120, right? Now when the number of workers is increased to 3, TP increases to 360. And average product will be, average product will be 360 divided by 3 gives us 120. Because TP by number of labors is 120. Now how do we find the marginal product for the third worker? We will find the first TP. Del TP, so 360 minus 220 gives us 140, right? 140 by del L. So del L is 3 minus 2, which is 1. So 140 by 1 is 140. Now here again TP is 520 when 4 workers are employed. AP is 520 by 4, which gives us 130. And marginal product is 520 minus 360 is 160 divided by 4 minus 3, which is 1. So here it is 160. Similarly, TP has increased to 650 when 5 workers are employed. AP is 650 by 5, which gives us 130. And how do you find MP? 650 minus 520 divided by 5 minus 4. So 650 minus 520 is 130 divided by 1, which gives us 130. So this is how we find TP, AP, and MP. This concept will be useful when I explain you the production possibility curve and other concepts in my next video. Thank you for watching my video. If you liked my video, do subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon. Bye bye. Have a great time.